Tottenham Hotspurs are set to come in for Brennan Johnson. Chelsea may be out the race, but will Jono still be at the City Ground come September? Welcome to your transfer news, and we are live. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest transfer news. And yes, hi guys in the chat, we are live. Hope you guys are having a good evening. It is sweltering hot still, man. Talk about the late summer coming in, but we got plenty to talk about tonight. Coming up, we'll give you the latest on Brennan Johnson. Will he, won't he? What's going on with Spurs? What's this deal going to be like? We'll talk to you about a keeper that's being hijacked by our opponents from this weekend, Manchester United. And there is talks of a beast of a Brazilian maybe being bidded, I said it there as bidded on by Nottingham Forest. If you haven't already, please don't forget to give us a quick like. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And I just want to say thank you to all you guys who have already voted. As Sir George says here, already voted up at FFTV for everything, you absolute legend. Thank you all for those of you who are supporting us with the FCA awards. Don't forget, there is a Young Creators Award. If you're 20 or over, I'm sure they'll make the exception for me because I'm 21. But, you know, you could chuck it in there. Anyway, good to see you. It's going to be a nice kind of relaxed stream, so let's enjoy it. But let's start the topic on, guys, and let's move it for... Oh, wrong button. What? Ez, what you done here, Ez? Why has this gone small? There we go. I pressed the wrong button. Okay, I want to start with the latest on Brennan Johnson, and there's a few updates to bring you guys. Firstly, there's been this talk about Chelsea, and did they bid on him, did they not? Romano has tweeted out to say Chelsea are looking at Brennan Johnson, have had made no bid, but respect the player he is and the player he could potentially be. And therefore, that says that they probably won't be going for Brennan Johnson now. However, in this merry-go-round that is the Brennan Johnson saga, Spurs are making sounds and making noises. Yes, I'm blaming you, mate. I'm blaming you. But Spurs are now making sounds and noises about Jono. But as we told you last week, it's still not a straight cash offer. Spurs have got loads of deadwood that they're trying to get rid of. Now, there are a couple of players that may be of interest to Nottingham Forest. Some of them will be sentimental. I think you guys know who I'm talking about. Others may be useful, and others Spurs are just gonna, slap lipstick on a pig and try and sell it to us. Who am I talking about? Obviously, Jed Spence. He has been told that he is not wanted by Spurs, and Spurs are open to listening to any offers on him whatsoever. But with Forest just buying a new right back in Gonzalo, is there any point in even starting the debate about Jed Spence? I know a lot of you are going to say yes, but we have to be realistic. We do. It's just too many right backs right now. And then we'll talk about the new signing, and we'll also talk about Serge Aurier as well. There's plenty of stuff to cover. And don't forget, straight after this, we've got the weekend review of all the Premier League fixtures over on FFTV Premier League channel. Ezanan, Beavis and Butthead will be clashing their heads and talking about it at 8 o'clock. So on the Jono deal, though, Spurs want to try and offer Forest. It looks like someone like Reguilon, who I don't think is a bad player. He's a decent left wing back going forward. And if you cast your minds back 12 months, Forest were actually interested in him. And there was very strong signs that Forest were going to go for him. But back then, the price, I think, was 24 million. And it didn't happen. He ended up going abroad on loan, and now he's back at Spurs. He's someone they want to get rid of. He, in essence, I don't mind. It's the other ones, those useless defenders that they can't seem to shift and want to get rid of, that Spurs are potentially going to offer Nottingham Forest. Now, putting all that to one side, there's only one reason that Brennan Johnson will be sold by Forest, and that's for money. So either Spurs are not reading the room right if they are thinking about this, or they're going to put an offer like, say, 40 million for Jono plus a Spence, let's just say for argument's sake, because he's probably worth about 8 mil. Or they'll put 13 million in plus a couple of players. I don't think Forest are in the position to say yes to that. For me, if Jono has to go, he has to go for straight cash for the FFP side of things, and also to fund some of the players that Forest are currently trying to bring in. But let's get into your comments, seeing that we're live, and let's see what you guys are saying about it all before we move on to the next story. But sorry, the actual headline is Spurs are putting and tabling together somewhat of a deal, or at least talking to Nottingham Forest about how they can potentially get Jono over the line. And I do think Jono would fit in their team. I do, because I don't think Kulusevski's better than him, but we'll have to wait and see. Iggy is getting very frustrated today about Montiel not being announced. Take it, just breathe, man. Just breathe. It's all fine there. Let's see what you guys are saying. Why are you not talking about Fletch? Big Mark saying Sham United not selling us Hendo and then going after the keeper. I'm about to come on to that. That's going to be very interesting to talk about. Iggy saying, I don't know why it's Iggy's comments, but Martin, I like him. He's a decent player, but Chelsea are not front runners right now. Matt saying we don't need more squad players. We need cash for Brennan. I agree exactly with what Matt's saying. Lee saying, I would have loved Jed Spence, but now that it's covered, I don't see it helping. We need another striker, a left back, and maybe another CB. In his opinion, what happens if one year gets injured and we only have Wood? Well, apparently Wood is the greatest striker now. He scored 1 goal. Andrew, good to see you, bud. We're going to come on to this wake up. Bear with us 2 seconds. Mark saying 60 mil cash. What I will say is the fee being branded round now has gone up. And what's good is that Forest had that early bid in from Brentford, where it was 35 mil and they rejected it. And it slowly went up to 40, then 45. And now the fee they're talking about is 50. The other thing I'd say is there are a lot of reports that the whole Jono saga is going to get busy, which in itself means it will be more than one team approaching him. At the moment, if I was to put it in a hierarchy of who's really interested to who's not, it would start with Spurs, then believe it or not, West Ham, then Brentford, then you're looking at Chelsea, and then you're looking at Villa, roughly in that order. Maybe you guys agree with that, maybe you don't. But it's going to need 1 or 2 of the ones below to step up slightly to start that war. And the feel around like all the journalists and stuff is that is about to happen. So watch this space. It's going to get interesting on the Jono one. Now, as you guys have been saying, there's been a lot of talk about this keeper. So let's move on and talk about... Oh, why does that keep doing it when I press the button, man? I blame Ez again. I really do. That idiot, man. Anyway. Altay Bayindir. Let's talk about him for a second. So this one is really weird. He's a Turkish goalkeeper, valued at about 6 million, 7 to 8 million euros, something like that, 6 million pounds. And he's at Fenerbahce. And there was going to be like a deal put in play from Forest to get him for 6 million plus 2 million in add-ons. The thing is, he's always been linked to Manchester United throughout the summer. And Forest have always come out, and it's been, they haven't come out, but it's been obvious. And from what we hear as well, that Forest want 2 goalkeepers this summer. Initially, it would have been Hendo plus 1. Now we've got Turner plus someone else. So it's kind of flipped around. But with this keeper, with Bayindir, or however you pronounce it, he didn't want to move to be a second choice keeper. And that's why the whole thing with Manchester United early window collapsed. And that's why that wasn't happening. And then Forest suddenly came in. And what's weird about this one is that if it's true and the bid did happen, then have Manchester United knee-jerk to stop Forest getting another keeper so they're still going for Hendo, if you see what I'm saying. Because the stories now are, and again, I don't know if they're true, but a medical's been completed for him over in Turkey for Manchester United, not Nottingham Forest. So potentially Manchester United are about to sweep in. I got to turn this fan on because it's freaking roasting in here. So Manchester United are going to go in for him. Now, let's cast our minds back as well. Manchester United have said they will not sell Henderson unless they get a second choice keeper. And if they get this second choice keeper in, then clearly Hendo's on the way. And I said to you when that initial story broke out that I still expect Henderson to leave Manchester United, because you can't really keep an unsettled player in a team where he doesn't want to be. So anyway, the point here is I still think Forest will go sniffing for Hendo, but Palace are currently favourites for Henderson. This whole keeper situation is getting into an absolute mess, and it's starting to do my head in. Even like rehearing everything I'm saying, although it makes logical sense in terms of the stories, logically it's just getting messy. It really is. So this guy, Altay, looks like he's going to Manchester United. That should create a domino effect onto Dean Henderson. But will Dean Henderson end up at Nottingham Forest? And that freaking man, will Dean Henderson end up at Nottingham Forest, or will he end up at Crystal Palace? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let's see what you guys are saying in the comment. Big Mart saying, apparently Jono has said he wants a Spurs move. If this is fact, then we must sell. Don't need players that don't want to be here. I've not heard that. I've heard other things. It wasn't Spurs. Jono hasn't publicly said anything to anyone as far as I know. Would Jono move? Yeah, he probably would. But it is a club thing. It really is. You know, we've said that to you from the start of the window. But I don't look, he may have his preferences from the ones that want him to go, but he's not come out and said anything. So I think that would be speculation for me. Lee saying, sick of United's transfer antics, awful team to do business with. Apparently they are not that bad to talk with. Their problem is they're very slow. They're very slow in terms of they don't like to get stuff done until their dominoes have been knocked over. Crypto's saying here, yes, I'd leave Dean Henderson. Turner looks okay. How many keepers do we want? Rather a backup striker, CDM, CB, etc. I do tend to agree with that. Marky Boy saying, Ez just whacked the keyboard in the background. Honestly, Ez is just a pain in the ass. I can't wait to hijack his stream at 8 p.m. What we got here, Walking Boom saying, my missus is going to Turkey this week. I'll find out about it. You go, Detective Walking Boom. Love it. Love it. Samir saying, definitely need a striker. What's going to happen when AFCON starts? Now, the point on AFCON is it's not as long as you think. It is 4 weeks, but there is a mini winter break in the Premier League in January. What I mean by this, so at the start of January, I think just after the FA Cup weekend, on the next weekend, 5 matches will take place. And then on the weekend after, 5 matches will take place. So in essence, 10 teams will play on week 1. They will then rest on week 2, and then vice versa with the other 10 teams. And what that will do is if you're playing week 1, you get a 2-week break. If you're playing week 2, then you get that 2-week break there. And that falls under the AFCON tournament. So Forest won't be without their African national players from whatever country they're coming from for as long a period because of that mini winter break. I get what you guys are all saying. You're all saying we do need backup for Taiwo. I agree. But it's weird how people have been coming at me saying, oh, but Wood now is the next Ronaldo. Anyway, it is what it is. I do agree. But we do have the most African players in the Premier League. Fun fact for you. I think we got 8 or 9. I'm probably adding to that. But anyway, you lot are sidetracking me with your life stuff. Seriously. What else are you guys saying? If you guys even hit that like button, how many likes we got, Crypto? Let me know in the comments, Crypto. I can't quite see. We've got 330 of you here right now. Thank you all for being here. Please hit that like button. And if you do get a chance, joking aside, and thank you again to everyone who's voted for us for the FCA Awards. Really do appreciate it. Remember, as I'm 21, I still qualify for the Young Creator Award. 55 Crypto, guys, hit that like button. Come on. So remember, you got to be 20 or under. I think they'll make an exception for a 21-year-old. So you can put Wolverine in that bracket. Okay, let's move forward because there's an exciting Brazilian that I want to talk to you guys about. And I really like, Ez. Why does it keep doing this, Ez? What have you done, man? Blood, seriously. Anyway, Morato, the Brazilian from Benfica, 22 years old. Shut up, Eddie. I can see your comments. I ain't bringing it up. 81 now. That's a little bit better. This guy is really good. Like, he is that kind of defender that already looks like a beast at 22. It reminds me a bit of my physique. Yeah. Oi, 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 oi. They're not grey. They're dyed grey. There's a difference. There's a difference. Okay. Anyway, who are we talking about now? You lot are just so off-putting. There is talks that Forest have put a 30 million euro bid in for him, which is about what, 25, 26 million pounds. He's a complete beast. 25 appearances only so far for Benfica. He has a release fee clause, and I'm sure Forest will be interested to know this, of 100 million euros. Now, I don't think it's going to need to get anywhere near that high. Have Forest really put a bid in for him? That I can't even tell you for sure. The reports are from the Portuguese side, and I haven't got Scarpa here anymore to translate for me. So, yeah, exactly, Mark. Thank you, Mark. You know what I'm talking about, Mark. Anyway, if you guys are wondering, who are watching later, you can just read back the live comments. But what I like about him more than ever, this is so off-putting. You really are. What I like about him more than anything else is his age profile. 22 years old. He'll have years ahead of him, and he's already quite good. Now, is he that fast at the moment? No. It's his physique. It's his presence. He gets stuck in. He can play a higher line, and I like that. Pat, shut up. But yeah, as Bubbles says, Benfica never sell cheap. So if this is true that Forest have put a 30 million euro bid in, one, it hasn't really been reported this side of the journalistic world, if you like. It's mainly coming out from Portugal. But if this guy is on Forest radar, it does fill me in with some hope. Now, there have been other players as well with Link. We talked about Dominguez, isn't it? The other day, the Argentinian, who I think is a decent player. But what we've got to start understanding is that Forest are now probably in their B list or C list in terms of players that we're going after in the transfer market. And stop pressing buttons. Stop pressing buttons, blood. Anyway, so Forest, for me, it feels like are now in Section B or Section C. And that's not a bad thing, right? Because Section A was the likes of Sangare, yeah? And now we're talking about the Argentinian, which isn't too bad. It is a downfall, but I like that they've had a list. I can't deal with your comments, man, seriously. Anyway, I like that there's a B list and a C list, yeah? And the gap between the A and the C list isn't huge. We went from Sangare to Fofana and now to Dominguez. And that in itself is good because you don't want to go from an A right down to a Z. But the worrying thing for me is the amount of players that are rejecting Nottingham Forest this window, if you believe all the reports that you're seeing in the news. And that for me says that something isn't quite right. Is it we're not offering them enough of a package on wages? Is it that we're not selling the project into them? Is it that they want or think better of themselves than Nottingham Forest in a relegation battle or a lower third battle, or if you think for me, a race to Europe battle? You know, is that the problem? Or is it they don't like the style of football that we're offering, a low block style? We don't know. That's not been made clear by any of these players. But there is more of a pattern of this happening currently than we saw in previous windows, be it in January or be it in the summer before that. So, and, you know, it could be players talking to players. I mean, a lot of you are saying Scarpa, the way they treated Scarpa. Who knows? I don't know how influential he is. Wake Up saying it's Cooper's tactics. Probably. I think that might have a bearing in it. Who knows? David, I am 21. Birthday's coming up in November. Don't you lot forget that. And Crypto's saying 3 more to 100. I'm trying to keep up with your comments. You guys type way too fast for my liking, I swear to God. Anyway, we're 2 off. Crypto says we're 1 off. We're 1 off 100 likes. So please do hit that like button if you haven't already. There's 350 of you guys in here. But anyway, this one really does excite me. I hope we can get this through. I hope the reports are true, but I don't quite believe them yet. And hopefully I've jinxed it in the other way around. Okay, there are talks of players going out, and Leeds seem to be the club sniffing around Nottingham Forest. And the big one they're sniffing at the moment is Lewis O'Brien. And this one has a lot of traction to it. Now, with the Lewis O'Brien situation, obviously we've covered off when he came back from DC United. But the key thing is here that there were Premier League clubs that wanted Lewis O'Brien. The problem was most of them wanted him out on loan. Sheffield United will be the example. They were 100% interested in Lewis O'Brien. But Forest wanted to hold out to sell him. He's not in Cooper's plans. I can tell you boys that for fact. Although we've seen him on the bench, although he, I think, is a really good player and has something to offer, even at a squad level, yeah, the problem here is that Cooper doesn't see what he sees in him. Now, there is no disharmony between the two of them. I think this one is just a straight up, in Cooper's eyes, he doesn't see him as someone who's fitting. Because as it says here, something going on in the dressing room. Cooper says all the right things, but I guess his tactics are what some players may not be happy about. Maybe, I think that's in reference to the previous point. But I'm for sure that O'Brien isn't one of those characters. Yeah, he's not a Shelvey. He gets his head down and he does the work. And I think Cooper does respect that. I think this is just purely a footballing decision. Agree with it, disagree with it, doesn't really matter. It's Cooper's choice at the end of the day with this one. Ez is pressing buttons again. Hold on. Let's get this back up. And as Crypto saying, keep voting. Don't forget to vote. So I do really think that this Leeds move will happen. The talks on it for O'Brien are about 10 million. That's what the quote is. And Leeds have come into a little bit of money. They've got new ownership. They've got a few players out, etc. But the Leeds fan base themselves are getting quite excited by this. And don't forget, we told you yesterday that they were linked to Shelvey as well. So maybe we could do a buy one, get one free deal with them. I think that would be really good. Ben says, can you vote more than once? Yeah, you can vote as many times as you want, I believe. So keep those votes coming in. So, guys, how do you feel about O'Brien? Let's get into some of your comments because your comments are off-putting enough as they are right now. Let's see what you guys are saying. So Matt's saying tactics, we change them every week. Fair enough. Home and away, they seem to be quite different at the moment. Cody's saying Cooper needs to change A plans. Martin's saying buy O'Brien, get Shelvey free. I like that deal. Don is saying if we can get more than we paid out for him, including wages spent, get rid if he isn't going to play. Yeah, remember we spent about 10 mil on him, but that did kind of include a buy one get one free with Tuffalo. So you could say that O'Brien was 7 mil and Tuffalo was 3 mil, something like that, you know. So 10 mil for O'Brien isn't a bad price. I still think he's better than some of the stuff we've got in midfield, but that's a whole debate for a whole other time. How much is the bids, says Max? It's in and around 10 million. That's the rumors they're talking about. Whether that will be 10 million straight up in cash, I doubt it. It would be made of add-ons. And remember, Leeds do get parachute payments because they've come from the Premier League. So they'll still get, it's about 90 million in total. I think it gets spread like 40, 40, 10, something like that. I can't remember the breakdown over 3 years. So they will have a bit of money that they can use with this one. I agree with you, Brett. Ez needs to be nowhere near a keyboard right now. Patch saying loan with an obligation to buy if promoted for O'Brien 10 million. I don't think Leeds are coming back up. If they're going to sell him, they may as well sell him for cash. Otherwise, what's the point? O'Brien is a solid midfielder, says Lee. I think we should keep him, get rid of that clown Shelvey. They are trying to get rid of Shelvey. I can tell you that much, but no one wants him. No one wants those wages. Are just so toxic. Max says we should get Spence back. Here we go with the sentimentality. Tuffalo will not be paid if he's suspended. Bringing shit to the club, says Martin. And Arsenal for Life says, are you still getting Tavares? The answer is, guys, and I don't want to say this, that, yeah, Forest are still interested, even at 30 million. Go figure. Have they not seen him play? Just seriously, man, stay away. Even the Arsenal fans would put him as 15 million and 20 would be like out of this world party time. To have a deal for him around 30, crazy. But the good news is he's rejected Forest. He doesn't want to come to Forest. So some other idiots are going to pay 30 million, which, yeah, as Brett says here, he doesn't want to come to Forest. Okay, what else are you guys saying in the comments? Let's have a quick look. Every time Ez presses a button, he gets a free haircut. There ain't much left to cut after that last trip. Dunn saying that Messi guy scored a goal in the MLS. We should try and get him. Yeah, he looks okay, doesn't he? He looks okay. This one's gone really quiet, Rajiv. The Iheanacho deal, there was talks at Forest to put a bid in for him for £8 million, and then it's just never materialized since then. That was back in the early parts of the summer. I think Forest would still be interested in him. Maybe he rejected Forest. Maybe he doesn't like the style of play, or maybe he thinks he can play a role in Leicester coming back up. Cody's saying, I think we need to sell Dennis. Dennis is definitely on the chopping block for Steve Cooper. He's definitely not in his plans. Again, there have been links with Dennis moving away. Leeds was one. Crystal Palace was another. There's still a few kind of clubs that are loosely linked with Dennis. What we're going to see now in the next 10 days, and it has to happen, is dominoes will start to get knocked over. You will see, for example, if Manchester United sign the Turkish goalkeeper, that will trigger a Hendo move. You'll probably see if another club signs, let's say Liverpool go in for Amrabat, for example, that could trigger Manchester United into going for Gravenberch. If they get Gravenberch, that releases Sangare. Then Sangare may see he has no other options apart from coming to Nottingham Forest. And by the way, Sangare, it hasn't been made official if he's rejected Forest or not. The signs are he doesn't want to go. Fofana, another one. If he's going to move, is anyone else interested in him apart from Nottingham Forest? These are all deals. And this could be a lot of what's slowing things down, is that Forest are waiting for dominoes, or they're waiting for players to agree. Now, I'm getting to the stage where if a player doesn't want to play for us, move on and find a target who does. You know, they're not the only players in this sea. One, for example, for me, would be Calvin Phillips, who I put on my shopping list earlier on in the summer. There's an opportunity there to get him out on loan. Now, I know there's been talks about him going to some big six clubs, and he's been linked with them. But for me, it's like, we could have done that earlier on in the summer on a loan, you know, a year-long loan, buys them time to get some new players in. Chompers, yeah, the John news at the start of the video, so rewind, and that will bring you up to date. Okay, so there's plenty of like little nuggets going on. Obviously, in terms of, and this is for Iggy. This is for Iggy, if he's still in here. I forgot our right back's name now. Someone reminds me. Gonzalo Montiel. He's fine. I don't know why some people are panicking about him. He's passed his medical. Things are just like progressing at normal speed. I would expect him to be announced tomorrow, or latest on Thursday. So don't panic about it too much. From even Romano, I believe, tweeted saying that the medical was done and confirmed yesterday. I know there's been some conflicting stories about was it today or was it yesterday. As far as I know, it was yesterday. Okay, so plenty of stuff going on. Watch this space as we kind of filter it out and dissect it out and kind of bring you the headline stories. It's so much fun doing this live. It's a little crazy. I'm not going to lie. I may have to get some mods in the background to help me out with the comments if we do this again. But let me know in the comments, do you prefer the news live so we can banter between us? Or do you prefer it kind of pre-recorded and then slapped in your faces whenever it's done? Yeah, and that's a really good point here as well, Brett. Uti's review on Montiel is positive. Now, we did do a video earlier on about him. And a lot of you said, well, you're saying he's crap. No is the answer. All I was saying is these are his stats. Aurier's stats line up better, and Aurier's stats are in the Premier League, not La Liga. He's a decent player, in my opinion. He's won a World Cup. You know, that doesn't automatically make you a good player, I know. But I was just presenting you guys with the stats for you guys to make your minds up with. So, you like it live. I like it slapped in my face, says Vic. Definitely live. Okay, speaking of live content, we've got more coming straight now for you. We got Beavis and we got Butthead, Ez and Ant about to go through all the Premier League games. I want you guys to go into their chat and give them absolute abuse. Like full-on abuse. But before you do, please hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. If you haven't already and you don't mind doing it, please vote for us on the FCA Awards. And also, just another shout out to the other Forest YouTube content creators, yeah? Whatever side of the fence you are, if you're you know, a happy clapper, a negative person, a placebo person, whatever, it doesn't matter. We all support the same club. So give them some love on those as well. You don't have to nominate yourself to be nominated. So make sure, if you can, nominate everyone. I think it's really important that the name of Nottingham Forest grows on YouTube, and we can only do that if we all work together on it. I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to hand you over to Beavis and Butthead. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the comments. I'll be there giving them abuse. And come on, you Reds.